Hey, this is John from Alloy 211. Today's video is on the Walther P22. It's a single action, double action, semi-automatic 22 long rifle pistol made by Walther. If you're not familiar with Walther, you might be more familiar with the PPK, or what a lot of people call the James Bond gun. People who generally, they're not gun people, usually that's how they refer to it. And hopefully in the future I will do a video on a PPK. There's one I'd like to borrow from someone I know, just because of when it was imported. But today's video is on the P22. So anyway, it is introduced in 2002. It is a smaller version of the Walther model P99, which is a centerfire 9mm handgun. This is approximately 75% of the size of the P99. Although the P99 is a lock breech firearm, and this is a blowback firearm, it handles the same, and that was the intention behind it. Has ambidextrous safeties and ambidextrous mag release, which I know some people that don't like this mag release, but honestly I really like it. I mean, I like a push button mag release too, but when you get used to using this, it really becomes pretty quick and easy to use. And when you think about it, because some people say, oh, I don't like moving my trigger finger down from the trigger, but when you're changing a magazine, you're not pulling the trigger anyway. So, you know, whether it's better than a push button, I don't know, but it's not bad and it can be used, especially once you've practiced with it. Anyway, like I said, otherwise it generally mimics the controls of the P99, and that's to help with training. You know, so that way you could say shoot this and get familiar with the controls and the functionality of it to a certain extent, and then you could, you know, have the 9mm, which does cost more to shoot, and you would be adequately trained with this, hopefully. Generally there are two models of this. When I say that, generally they actually offer it in a lot of different colors and different such accoutrements, but basically you have the standard model with a 3 7/16 inch barrel, or the target model, which has a 5-inch barrel and a weight on the end, which this one doesn't have, obviously. They also have a third model, but I would say it's less common because it's the P22CA, which stands for California Compliant, because it does not have a threaded muzzle. Now this may not look like it has a threaded muzzle, but it's got a barrel sleeve and then an inner barrel. And I'll show you how that works in a little bit when I take it apart. It also does have a magazine disconnect, so if you don't have the magazine in it, the hammer will not move, the trigger does not engage with the sear. And I'll show you how that, well, I'll kind of show you how that works when I take it apart. With the 3 7/16 inch barrel, the overall length is 6.3 inches, whereas with the 5-inch target barrel, it's 7.8. The standard model here weighs 15 ounces, whereas the target model weighs 18.5 ounces. And again, like I said, that's got a weighted compensator out here. Also, with the 5-inch target model, you remove this front sight, which you can get the 5-inch barrel and the weight and put it on the standard model if you'd like. That is something that they do offer. They tend to be kind of hard to find when I've looked for them. Anyway, if you do put that 5-inch barrel on here, which also means that if you bought the target model, you could take the longer barrel out and put the shorter barrel in and have a more compact little firearm, which this is a nice and compact firearm, but yet big enough that it does more mimic, say, mid-sized, a compact-sized firearm opposed to a subcompact in some ways, although it is very thin. Which it's a great gun to shoot, I will say that. Anyway, when you take and put it on the 5-inch target barrel, you can take this front sight off, and then you put a little plug in there, and then your front sight is out on the end of the weight. And then vice versa, if you take the weight off, then you move your sight back to here. While I have it up here, I'll actually point out, if you look at the chamber over here, which try to get it to where you can see that. There you go. You have an A and an F, which that is a date code. A stands for 0, B1, C2, D3, and so on, with the exception of J. They don't use J. So this, there we go, with the AF means it's manufactured in 2006. And I actually bought this firearm used from someone that I knew for $150. And I will say too, maybe that's partially what skews me on it, because I didn't pay full price for it. So I think it's a really good gun, but if I paid $300 for it, yeah, maybe I may not feel so strongly about that. But also, having bought it used, it didn't come with any back straps because the gentleman had lost the back straps. And it also didn't come with the barrel wrench. So, that's one of those things when you buy a firearm like this used and it has accoutrements like that, you may not get them all with it. And also, speaking of the 5-inch target barrel, there's actually in the case, there's a little spot where you can pull out if you have that model. And in some ways, that's part of the reason why I'd like to have the 5-inch barrel for this. In some ways too, it's just because it's available, and because it's available, I'd kind of like to have it. But obviously, I haven't wanted to have it enough that I've gone and bought it. So, want to have it and really want to have it, I guess, are two different things. And again, like I said, there are some things about this gun that, I paid $150 for it and I really like it, but when I take it apart here, which I'll do that right now, there are some things I don't really like about it. And when I take it apart is very simple. You cock the hammer back, you push down, there's a little yoke right here on both sides of the frame. Just pull that down. And then, like a lot of fixed barrel blowbacks, you pull the slide back so you can lift it off of the guide rails and slide it forward, and be careful with that spring because that spring will shoot out of there. So there's your solid recoil spring and a coiled wire recoil spring, solid guide rod, what am I saying? Anyway, guide rod, and then a coiled wire recoil spring. And I like coiled wire recoil springs, they tend to be really good. The slide is 2 pieces. You have, try to get this at an angle where you can see it. The silver area is actually pinned right here. This part of the slide is pinned in. Whoop, there you go. It's pinned into the slide. It's really pretty lightweight, really, for a blowback firearm, or at least I think it's kind of lightweight. But the recoil spring is pretty heavy. So here's one of the things I don't really care for about this, which is that it has this lower portion that's in the polymer frame, which it is a polymer frame pistol, is actually in 2 pieces. It's split right there, as you can see. And that's held together with this Phillips head screw right here. And I don't care for the fact that this is a Phillips head screw, because if you take it in and out, Phillips head screws don't tend to hold up. So it'd be a lot better, I think, for an Allen head or something of that nature. But then just the fact that this is the way this is held together, I really wish they'd done it some better way. I've had this screw back out on me, and I don't like that. I don't trust it. Once I've had something like that back out on me once, I'm not going to trust it so much, and I will put some, medium strength Loctite on it just to hold it in place. Anyway, something I won't put Loctite on is the barrel. I'll show you how that shroud comes out here, which, as I said, I don't have the wrench for it because the person who I bought this from had lost it. But as you can see, you have a notch on this side and a notch on that side, and that would normally engage with a wrench that you use to take it on and off. But go ahead and take the barrel shroud off. There we go. As you can see, the end of that barrel is threaded. Then you can just go ahead and pull the whole barrel and chamber right out. Goes right out of there. As you can see, it says Walther, nice script on the side, caliber 22 long rifle. And then that leaves you with this frame, or this metal portion inside the polymer frame. And like I said, it's 2 pieces, as you can see. And I mean, that is fine, but I just don't like the fact that it's held with that screw. That just is a weak point of this design, I think. And it goes back together just as easily as it came apart. Although before I do that, I'm going to go ahead and show you that trigger safety. Now you have the action bars for the trigger that run back on both sides of right here. Try to see if you can see that. right there, and then right here. They both run back to the sear back here. And when you have the magazine out, it's too low, which you can't really see that very well, but it's too low to interact with the sear. But when you put the magazine in here, the top tabs, the bottom tabs are for the magazine release, and the top tabs are for the trigger safety. So when you push that in, which you're not going to be able to see it, I tried to see if you could see it with a flashlight or something, but you really just can't, it's too tight. But when you push that home and it clicks in, it pushes that bar up just enough to where it will interact with the hammer. So that is how that works. And I'm not a big fan of that. I'm not a big fan of trigger safeties, but you know, in California, apparently you have to have those, so it is what it is. Some people like them, some people don't. I don't really care for them. That's just me. It's not for me to say what other people should like. Anyway, you have on this barrel shroud, let me pull this barrel back out. You have this little tab here, right there, or little notch, I shouldn't say little tab, little notch. And then you have a tab right there in that face. So when you put that in, when that lines up, it'll lock into that knot, or into that tab, and the end of the barrel shroud will continue to thread on. So go ahead, slides right on there, screws in. You want to hold that in place while you're screwing it in. Anyway, and then, well, hopefully, there we go. And then you have to turn, this is where the wrench would come in really handy, because once that gets into the tab, then you turn the end of the barrel. As you can see, it's got a split right there. It's actually this portion that's threaded, and it rides inside the other part of the shroud. And that's easy to tighten it down and pull it into place. Like so. Now I will tighten it down more later, not right now. If I had the wrench, I'd do it right now, but I don't have the wrench. So I'll also show you how I put the guide rod and recoil spring in, because that goes into the hole. You can see it right there below the barrel. And it's kind of a bear to try to put it in any other way than this. So you go ahead and you take the guide rod and the recoil spring. You go ahead and put those in the slide. Put those in the slide like so. And this can be kind of a pain in the butt too. You have to get the guide rod lined up with the hole and push it in, then grab it with one hand like so, and then shoot it across the table, because you know that's what you do. It makes things exciting. You don't want to be boring, so go ahead and shoot that guide rod right across the room. Try to make sure no one else is in the room to hit in the face with it, because they might get annoyed with you, or they might be too busy laughing at you for doing it. And although I'm making this look easy on camera here, it's not as easy as it seems. It's not as hard as it seems either. Anyway, now that I have that held in there, such as that, take and slide the barrel in, slide the slide on. Then once I get it to that point, I can release the guide rod. Oh, there we go. And then just push it down into place. It'll snap down into its little cubby there. Then you pull the slide back, let it go forward, push that up into place, and it locks. And I mean, that's the Walther P22 in a nutshell. I think it's a good 22 handgun. One of the things about it though, it does recommend that you use high velocity like CCI Mini Mag rounds in it. And one of the other funny things about this particular gun, before I bought it, the previous owner said, oh, I've just gotten it to where it'll shoot every kind of 22. It'll shoot no matter what velocity it is, it'll shoot it. Even the cheapest 22s. I was like, oh well, cool. And so I had it, shot a couple hundred rounds through it, and then the hammer spring shattered. And it's, well yeah, he just broken it in enough that that it would fire all those rounds because the hammer spring is about to go out. So Anyway, though, which, I mean, if the hammer spring goes out, it's not that big a deal to change out, and they are available. So, hey, I put a new hammer spring in it, and I bought another one to keep. And I will say this, once I did that, it doesn't fire every kind of 22 now. Now it really does just want the high velocity stuff. So, anyway, like I said, maybe other than having to shoot the higher velocity 22 ammunition, maybe that's a drawback. And maybe if I'd paid the initial price of, say, $300 or $330, maybe I wouldn't feel that this was as good as it is. I don't feel it's like a service quality firearm. It's not something that you want to really do more than take on the range. But it has its place. I mean, you can put a silencer or a suppressor on it. You know, however you want to call it, suppressor, silencer. I mean, it really is fine to call it both. But anyway, hope you enjoyed the video. Hope you found it informative. If you liked it, go ahead and hit the like button. And if you want to check out some of my other videos and you like those too, go ahead and subscribe. I'd really appreciate it. Thanks. Have a good day.